Welcome back to The Rundown. I am your host, Mitchell Mengerance, aka Mitchell Travels. And today I'm going to be talking to you about Paros, the island in Greece in the Cyclades. We're going to get rid of all the fat, all the filler. Okay, we're trimming it down. This is just the rundown of everything you need to know before you go, before you book, before you plan. And as always, if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to this channel, that you hit that notification bell right there, okay? So you're notified every time I release either a video like this or an actual on-site location episode. Yeah, because otherwise, like, how do you know when I have a video or an episode? You just don't. Ugh, kind of sounds like I'm begging at this point. This is what you need to know about Paros. So getting to Paros is actually pretty simple because since it is in the Cyclades and it's surrounded by a lot of islands that a lot of tourists usually visit, the best way to do it is by going via ferry. Like if you just arrived to Greece, you're probably going to be in Athens. You can easily take a ferry from Athens to Paros directly, tons of options. As always, I like to use direct ferries. They're not sponsoring me. I just find that their UI is super simple, very reliable, and they're pretty good about telling you the different times and the costs, and they're pretty good. Ferries in Greece are so good. They're so quick. They're so straight to the point. They usually have little cafes and bars where you can get yourself a freddo espresso or whatever you like to drink. Honestly, it goes by pretty quickly, so don't be too worried about that. Once you get to Paros, you're probably gonna land in Paroikia, that's the main port. However, that's not where you want to stay. Trust me, the place you want to stay is Naousa or somewhere around Naousa. It's really simple. Naousa is a very, very pretty, classic sort of Cycladic. It's where all the action is, all the best restaurants. Naousa is the place to go. There's actually a lot of, for some odd reason, and I'm sure there's an explanation for this, there's a lot of French people that go to Paros. That's like their designated Greek island, in the way that like Norwegians and other Scandinavians claim different islands like Rhodes and Eos. You know, the Brits go to Zakynthos, and the Brits will puke anywhere for that matter. The French have claimed this island though. And it gives Paros like a different, I mean, some will call it pretentious, but it gives it a different sort of like classy vibe to it, which plays very well with sort of how chill it is. Obviously, islands that are around it, Santorini, like Mykonos, like they get all the glitz and the glamour. It's interesting because you don't expect it to be as laid back and classy and just chill as it is. But man, it's just like, it's a vibe. It really is like bespoke. That's the word. So accommodation wise, as always with Greece, if you're planning on going, I always recommend going in the summertime, basically from like late May to late September. I particularly recommend going sometime in early July because that way you don't get too much of the crowds. Okay, it's not too crazy, not too expensive, but you're still getting the summer vibe. That said, the issue with Paros versus other islands is that there are less hotels. Not as few as like Milos, for example, but definitely not as many as like Mykonos or other bigger islands. Definitely not as many as the neighboring island of Naxos, which is gigantic. So you really need to plan ahead of time. If you book your trip probably maybe 3 months in advance, you'll be able to get like some good rooms at a good rate and not have to deal with just lack of availability, right? I think the last time I was in Naousa, I booked at Hotel Senia. I'll drop the link in the description. Beautiful hotel, one of the most beautiful pools that I've ever been in Greece. Like even at night, like it glimmers, like they have the little stars in the pool, and like the rooms are amazing. The restaurant is great, the drinks, the bar, like I'll have a drink at the pool and another drink and another drink, you know, a salad, like a tacos or something like that. And I'll be just chilling for hours. And Hotel Senia definitely lends itself to be the perfect hotel for that. Definitely book ahead of time because you want to be in or very close to Naousa. And you want to have a good hotel and you want to be able to sort of go back and forth because that's the village, I guess, of the island that has the most action for the majority of the day. So the thing about Paros versus like Naxos, for example, which is just an enormous island, Paros has way less to do, right? Like, and that's also because there's just less villages, but there's so many beaches throughout the island that you kind of don't need to go to other villages, right? Like you're kind of just, you're going to the beaches, you're going back to base camp, and you're switching on and off, which of course brings us to what to do when you're in Paros. Me personally, I always get a ATV, a quad, so that way I can drive any part of the island. 200 cc's should be fine. So definitely book yourself an ATV. You don't really need a car because it's not that big of an island. And that way you can go to all the different beaches. Obviously, you've probably already heard of Kolymbithres, great beach, right by Naousa. It's got those smooth rocks that people sort of make it seem like it's the Seychelles of the Cyclades, which is a funny comparison, you know. There's an amazing taverna right there on Kolymbithres beach that has like top 5 octopus dishes I've ever had in Greece. It's like fantastic. So definitely hit up that taverna. So I've never done this, but a lot of people actually take the time to do like a day trip to Antiparos, which is the island right beside, like adjacent to Paros. And that island is like been made famous, I think, by like people like Tom Hanks and celebrities. They go there. Like if you think Paros is chill, this is like 10 times chiller and more exclusive. Me personally, I've never been, so I can't really tell you guys about it, but I know that it's a really popular thing to do for people who are visiting Paros. So the last time I was in Paros, actually, I grabbed my quad and I drove all the way to Lefkes, which is a little hillside village. That trip is awesome. Again, huge fan of driving around any Greek island with the ATV. I think it's one of the great experiences in a Greek island. It is the most chill, little like relaxed, authentic, like little Greek village in the middle of the island. It was really cool. I ate at a local taverna there. I had some cheese. I brought back some cheese. It's definitely something worth doing when you're in Paros. Driving to like a little hillside village, getting some cheese, eating well, and just enjoying life. So as always with any Greek island, I don't recommend you try to do too much. Plan out maybe 2 or 3 activities for the day, but don't get caught up in like burning yourself out. Don't do that. Like, chill, have a nice breakfast. Hopefully your hotel has a pool, enjoy that pool, have some drinks, you know, go out for an amazing dinner in that little port area. Okay, that's like that little port square. Those restaurants are super, super expensive, but they're very worth it. And some of the freshest seafood you're gonna get in the Cyclades in those restaurants right there. Some of those restaurants include Barbarossa. You can go to Mare Nostrum, Rigani, Sigi Ithios, I think. It's going to be slammed, so make sure that if you're going for dinner that you get there like, I don't know, early. Honestly, early, man. You gotta get there like 7 o'clock. It's right there by that Venetian castle and that little old port. That is the center of all the action in all of Paros. Is gonna be in that section of Naousa. So let's say it's late, wanna find a little something to do, a little something to have a little chit chat. The beautiful woman, beautiful guy, whatever. Would it be a beautiful guy, handsome guy, whatever. The 2 most popular spots, bars, little tiny clubs will be Barbarossa and Agosta, right next to each other. That's gonna be where like the action is. It's gonna be crammed. Yeah, so like if you're claustrophobic or something, definitely don't want to go there. But it's a vibe. It's awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Also, a few things to highlight in Naousa: amazing art, amazing sort of bespoke clothing, amazing loukumares, which are the Greek donuts. You can get them with honey or you can get them with chocolate. Like some of the best food actually that I've had in a Greek island have been actually in Naousa, which is kind of crazy. And finally, just like a random tidbit, right where the road ends or begins, however you want to sort of look at it, and the pedestrian part of Naousa begins. That little area where the Naousa New Bridge is and the marina and all that stuff, that's a really nice, super underrated part of Naousa. You see a lot of families, you know, you see kids. It's a great place to like grab an ice cream, a less expensive dinner. It doesn't get a lot of press by a lot of vloggers. I mean, that's just a vibe. I think the best way, I guess the most Gen Z way of describing Naousa is that it's a vibe. Like either way you slice it. And it's one of the rare islands in Greece that you can go both as a family or as a solo traveler and still have a good time. Trust me, there's not a lot of islands that lend itself both ways like that. Paros, to me, is super underrated and one of the best islands in Greece simply because it just allows you to get the best out of it, no matter who you are or what you're there for. If you want to get lit, you can do it in Paros. Not as much as like Mykonos, obviously, but you can do it. And if you have a family or just your girlfriend or your newlyweds or whatever the case may be, then it lends itself to give you an amazing experience. I guess the best way to put it is that Paros might be one of the most well-rounded islands probably in all of Greece. And that's not an exaggeration. So there you have it. That is Paros. I know I must have dropped the word Naousa a million times, so if you were taking a shot every time I said Naousa, you're probably wasted, you probably got alcohol poisoning. I hope this video helped you sort of plan out your vacation in Paros. And of course, if you have any questions at all about Paros, make sure that you drop a comment and I will answer it as soon as I can. And if you like what you saw today, please make sure you drop a like. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you guys on the next video.